My essay was based around the topic of talent. In my essay, I spoke more specifically about the relative age effect in football in European countries. For this, I had to research for different papers. One of the papers I had to research on and will be talking about is titled The Relative Age Effect in Youth Soccer Players from Spain. It was published by Del Campo in 2010. The paper looked at the relative age effect in Spain of youth footballers. They did this to see if the RAE did in fact exist within youth football in Spain at amateur and elite level. The results of the study showed that the relative age effect does in fact exist. In all situations that was tested, so both elite groups and the amateurs, it can be seen that the highest percentage of players were born in January. Compare this to the average Spanish population and it's way higher too. 18% of the elite athletes that took part were born in January and 12% of the amateurs as well. Compare that to only 8% of the Spanish population who were born in January. From the graph, there is an apparent negative correlation on all three lines, with December being the lowest percentage of births with all three lines. 8% of the Spanish population were born in December compared to 5% for the amateur footballers and 3 and 2% for the two elite groups tested. The relative age effect also exists in all age groups. At least 15% of players in age groups under 11s, under 13s, under 15s, and under 18s were born in January, which is well above the national average of 8%. Also, no more than 5% of players in all age groups had birthdays in December, which is below the national average of also 8%. In this graph, there is also an obvious negative correlation. On average, from the players tested, midfielders had the highest percentage of players born between January and March. However, all four positions, so that's the goalkeepers, defenders, midfielders and strikers, had at least 40% of their players born between January to March. The defenders had the lowest percentage of players born between October to December, with around 10%. However, all four of the positions again had under 15% of their players born between October to December. All four position groups, so the goalkeepers, defenders, midfielders and strikers, had anywhere from around 18 to 30% of their players born between April and September. To get the results, they needed the players' details and the country's data. For the elite group of the year 2005-06, they sampled 834 players. 110 of them were from the under 11s, 184 from under 13s, 234 on the 15s, and 306 on the 18s. The elite group of the year 2008-09 season, they sampled 2,768 players. 546 were on the 11s, 686 were on the 13s, 644 were on the 15s, and 892 were on the 18s. The amateurs of the year 2006-07 sampled 591 players. 163 of those were on the 11s, 169 were on the 13s, 145 were on the 15s, and 114 were on the 18s. Finally, they took the Spanish population from the year 2008-2009 of people that were born between 1986 and 1987, which stood at 4,738,110. They got the data from 3 different sources. They got it from the Royal Spanish Football Association, the Spanish Professional Football League, and through asking the clubs that participated. The data included date of birth, position, age group, and years spent at the club. The data about the Spanish population was found at the Spanish National Institute of Statistics.